Hey, this is Mr. Ward, and this is the Algebra Exit Ticket 29.2 video key. And I assume you know who you are and what your block is, but do you know what two factors of 19 add up to 20? Well, we can make our handy-dandy little x. So here we go. There's our x. Okay, so we're looking for 19. That's our product. We want two factors of 19 that add up to 20. Okay. Well, those two factors would be 1 and 19. 19 is conveniently a prime number, so there's not a whole lot we can do with it other than 1 times 19. Well, we could do fraction-y things, but I'm not going to do that to you right now. So x plus 1 times x plus 19 actually might work out as a thing from this if we were... Oh, wait a minute, look at that. What do you get when you multiply x plus 1 times x minus 19? That's exactly what we just wrote. Could it be a coinky-dink? Okay, so the two factors are 1 and 19. And now we're going to work this out. X times x, that's x squared. And then x times 19 will be 19x. And 1 times x will be 1x. And then 1 times 19 will be 19. And we can put it all together and we get x squared plus 19x plus 1x is going to be 20x plus 19. Look at that. Okay, now what are the two linear factors of x squared plus 20x plus 19? Well, you just worked that out. So the two linear factors are x plus 1 times x plus 19. Okay, now let's look at number 2. What would the factors of x squared minus 100 be? Now remember, you can always say that's x squared plus 0x minus 100. So let's make our little x. You might already recognize this as a difference of squares, and so you might not really need this, but I'm going to go through this anyway and just make sure we know how it works. So we're going to have a product of negative 100, because this is a difference of squares. It's a difference, and that's a square, and that's a square. And we want a sum of 0. So what are two numbers that are multiplied together, get negative 100, and add together and get 0? Well, there's negative 10 and positive 10. Okay? And that's what they are. And of course, we can go ahead and continue this process and say x and x, and we'll put a parentheses around this one. That was a weird parentheses. Parentheses here and a parentheses here, parentheses here. We'll make that kind of a better parentheses. And now we've got x minus 10 times x plus 10. So the factors of this are going to be x minus 10, a difference of x and 10, and x plus 10, a sum of x and 10. Whenever you have a difference and a sum of the same two numbers being multiplied together, we're going to get a difference of squares because you're going to cancel out your middle term. Now, we have a fancy name for these things. When you have an x plus 10 and an x minus 10 and x plus 10, x plus 10 is the conjugate for x minus 10. And x minus 10 is the conjugate for x plus 10. 7 plus 2 is the conjugate for 7 minus 2. 3 plus the square root of 8 is the conjugate of 3 minus the square root of 8. So there's this pattern where you have the sum of two numbers and the difference of those same two numbers. We call those two things a conjugate of each other. Each of those are a conjugate of the other one. And that'll be a term that'll come up in the future for you. So I'm just tossing that little vocabulary out in your way. I'll spell it for you. It's C-O-N-J. You've seen this perhaps in world language, conjugate. You've probably heard it as conjugate. And conjugate is the verb, and conjugate would be the noun version, pronunciation. It's the same spelling, though, which is kind of weird. All right, I hope that was helpful.